Hey guys, it's Paradise, and everyone is looking forward to the release of Monster Hunter Wilds, and with the release of the beta recently and the announcement of Monster Hunter Outlanders, the news cycle has been packed with so much information. However, there are a few things that we know you guys will want to know that not many people have been talking about. So in today's video, we're going to go through a bunch of Wilds and Capcom related news, such as feedback from the beta, a Japanese store demo, and what's next for the creator of Dragon's Dogma. This was all of the information that was interesting to us, so we thought you would want to know about it, so if you're a hardcore fan, you can stay in the loop. So sit back, relax, and tell us what you think about all of this. The first thing to know that some of you may have missed is that there's a special edition PlayStation 5 cover and PlayStation 5 controller for Monster Hunter Wilds, but it is exclusive to the Asia region. The controller looks awesome and it would have been nice to get our hands on one, but with it not being in the West at the moment, it's going to be pretty hard to source. It isn't the first time they've done a special edition console, as that did happen with World for the PlayStation 4 Pro as well. Well, it is safe to say the majority of you probably enjoyed the Monster Hunter Wilds beta, which is awesome, but it wasn't perfect. There are definitely changes that players want to see both in general systems and weapon specifics. For example, some of the notable and more vocal ones that we heard from players is that many want to see the return of the bounce for the Insect Glaive. The damage of the Charge Blade's Super Amped Element Discharge also may need to be increased, or the combo flow needs to be adapted to make it a bit more viable against just spamming Power Axe mode. And personally, we would like to see a number of changes to the Lance increasing its damage and speed, as well as the Switch Axe increasing the damage of the Sword mode versus the Axe mode. During the beta, Capcom had a survey that players could fill out to give feedback on the game. And although we haven't currently heard anything about exactly what the outcome of this feedback is, on Twitter the community manager Jono said the following: "Thank you to everyone that shared their Monster Hunter Wilds open beta test feedback via the official survey, social media, and online community hubs. It's really important and valued. The team will be providing a response to your beta feedback at a later date, so watch this space." It's going to be nice to see exactly what changes they are thinking about implementing into the game, because if you look back, some of the changes for World and Rise were pretty big. For example, one of the post-launch updates for the Switch Axe added earplugs to the Zero Sum, while the Longsword was updated, allowing it to adapt the direction of the Foresight Slash, which became critical for Longsword's playstyle. So they definitely could have some pretty major changes based on the feedback that we're excited to learn more about. Something pretty interesting to look at is the speedrun times for the beta and which weapons performed the best to help get an indication for things that might need a bit of a boost. For this, we can see an article from the Japanese publication Game With that shows some of the top times for each of the weapons. As you can see from the chart, most of the weapons are around the 4 to 5 minute mark, with a few outliers like the bow sitting at 3 minutes 40 at the very top of the list. Meanwhile, weapons like the Lance and Switch Axe are unfortunately near the rear. Capcom will probably use this with their internal data to make adjustments on these weapons. But remember, looking at just these speedruns isn't a great indicator of general weapon use, especially in the demo, as lists like this could be inaccurate or misinformation if they don't include all of the actual best times, which we've seen in the past. For example, there was a case where a runner was missed off of the list that had a dramatically faster time with a weapon. Also, when you combine this with the fact that the lists are skewed by various factors such as weapon popularity, skills, and armor in the beta, some weapons are more skill dependent than others to reach their maximum potential, and popularity is a massive factor as the more popular weapons will have more people running them, giving them a better chance at getting a better runtime, as there's a higher number of players playing it at a high level. Regardless of the metrics that Capcom are using for the feedback, it is awesome to hear they're listening and changes will be on the horizon. Interestingly, some of these changes may have already been implemented, as in a Famitsu article we learnt about a new Japanese in-store demo that goes between November 23rd and 24th, and the notice for it says, "The content you get to try out will be the same as the content exhibited at Tokyo Game Show 2024. Some of the content may differ from the open beta test held the other day. We are working on making adjustments and improvements for the final version, and there are differences in various specifications and balance. So next week, even if the content of the demo is the same as the TGS demo, if there are some diligent Japanese players out there, we may hear about some of these changes that are coming in Monster Hunter Wilds if they get to play the demo, and we can't wait to hear what they have to say. Now, while it isn't exactly Wilds related, something that's good to know if you're a fan of Capcom games and Dragon's Dogma is the fact that they were produced by Itsuno, and he's had a massive impact on games in general. Itsuno is more recently known for his work on Dragon's Dogma 2 as the director of the game. However, in news that shocked the gaming community, he has announced that he will be leaving Capcom after a long and prestigious run, having worked on game series like Street Fighter, Rival Schools, Devil May Cry, and one of our favorites, Power Stone. We now know he's landed at Lightspeed Studios, and they will be heading up a new studio branch called Lightspeed Japan Studio. For those who don't know, Lightspeed Studios are a subsidiary of Tencent Games with various studios around the world. They haven't produced much at the moment, but the LA studio is working on a game called Last Sentinel, which is an open-world AAA game set in a futuristic Tokyo, which is looking pretty cool. In a press release, Itsuno says, "Joining Lightspeed Studios is an exciting new chapter for me. With Lightspeed's strong development capability and global network, I look forward to creating original AAA action game titles together with the amazing team and building aesthetic and innovative experiences for the global player community. We welcome all talented and passionate game creators from the world to join our vision." Well, it's great to see that he has found himself somewhere where he can probably make the game that he wants to. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what he does next, and it's often the case that when these Capcom directors leave Capcom, they make a sort of spiritual successor to the games they worked on at Capcom, like Shinji Mikami and Evil Within basically being Resident Evil, or Hideaki Kamiya and Bayonetta basically being Devil May Cry. Itsuno did say 6 years ago that he would like to make the following games, where he said, "If I was allowed, I'd love to make Rival Schools 3, I'd love to make Dragon's Dogma 2, Capcom vs SNK 3, Street Fighter Alpha 4, Power Stone 3, and so on." He followed this up by saying, "But the big one, the one that we need to get resolution on, is Rival Schools." So maybe he's working on a fighting game in the style of Rival Schools, but that was 6 years ago. Either way, it's going to be interesting, and personally, if we were to put our tinfoil hat on and speculate, we're thinking he could be making something similar to Dragon's Dogma, as I don't feel like the game met its full potential. And while the budget for Dragon's Dogma 2 was AAA sized, it didn't feel like it got the same level of resources as a Monster Hunter game, a Devil May Cry game, or other RE Engine games. So a spiritual successor of Dragon's Dogma with a fresh go and new team could potentially be something amazing. So what do you think about all of this? Tell us down below, and make sure you're subscribed for more videos on Monster Hunter and your favorite games coming very, very soon.